Hi, it's Michelle again at Living Blue in Texas, and I am once again with Dennis Sherrard. Now, he had initially declared that he was running for House District 92. There have been some changes in the redistricting map. I guess we just wanted to talk about that today. Dennis, why don't you tell us your thoughts on the new redistricting maps?
Sure, Michelle. It's good to be with you again. Okay, so redistricting. It is what we anticipated it to be, very partisan in terms of its nature, in terms of drawing people of color into less influential areas. But for me personally, what it basically means is that I have been drawn into a new district, now District 94. And so what does that mean for my campaign? Well, it means I'm going to be running for state representative in House District 94. Assuming the maps don't change, and it's not likely that they will. I was talking to a couple of recent county Democratic officials, and they told me that there's been a couple of lawsuits that have been discussed around specific districts, not mine, but a couple of others. And it has to do with the specific gerrymandering aspect of the way that the district was divided. However, that will only affect that district if the plaintiffs on the lawsuit prevail, and it may require them to keep the current boundary for the district and so on. But it's pretty expected that the new maps will be approved by the legislature sometime this week, early next week, and then on to the governor for signature. So that means that for me, I will be recasting my campaign for House District 94. Basically, that entails where I live, a little slice of Bedford, the majority of Hearst, Texas, and then it moves south and west into more Fort Worth, Arlington, Pantego, Dalworthington Gardens. So it's quite a different piece of geography than I was in before. 92 has been moved more eastward to encompass all of Euless, Texas, some of Arlington, some of Grand Prairie, and so on. And 92 has been drawn much more Democratic. It is a significantly high concentration of people of color. And so this is one of those districts that they talk about when they talk about cracking and packing. This is one of those districts that have been packed with people that are expected to vote more Democratic than not. In my district, we recently ran the numbers comparing the precincts and how they went for Biden versus Trump in 2020. And so the new district is a Trump +5, which means it's still pretty competitive. And therefore, I'm encouraged to go ahead and run, and we will give it our best shot with some new constituents. So that's the state of play right now. The Senate map has been approved by the legislature, and I think Governor Abbott will be signing that in the next week or so. The State Board of Education map has been approved. I think the congressional maps are still under some discussion and debate. I'm not sure that they've gone to the House floor yet, but all that should be wrapped up within the next couple of weeks. They have a deadline of mid-November to get that completed to avoid any changes in filing dates or in the primary, which is still scheduled for March 1st of 2022.
Right. And so I am definitely not a psychic. I can't see the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen. There is a lawsuit that was filed by Roland Gutierrez, Sarah Eckhart, and Tejano Democrats to stop this process and use the same maps in 2023 and redraw them then. They have a hearing for that on, I think it's October 27th. Is it October 27th or 28th? So that's still in the way. Who knows? Like I said, who knows what's going to happen once Abbott signs, puts his pen on the paper. There is going to be a flood of lawsuits.
Yes.
For every map, for the House, Senate, Congress. What's interesting, though, is that Jeff Kaysen, who has been throwing a couple of temper tantrums this last couple of weeks,
is an understatement, I think. Yeah.
So he was 92. Now that is going to be a Democratic district, which, it makes sense. Representation, haven't had it. So with the +5 going towards Trump in that district, do you that 2022 will be as competitive as it was in 2020?
Well, I think it will, because principally there's a lot of the reasons why people voted for President Biden are still in play, and the legislature the Congress up in DC still is working on the Build Back Better program, the Human Infrastructure Plan, as well as the bipartisan infrastructure deal. I expect those to be passed. They'll be coming out in some form or fashion. What the price tag on those is going to be is not clear, but I do expect both of those bills are going to pass. And when that happens, the benefits, the reason these are so important is that the benefits redound to the American people almost immediately. The child care tax credits get extended. The assistance for family paid medical leave become almost immediate. The infrastructure, projects, the hard infrastructure projects will take some time to sort out because there'll be procurements and there'll be project startups and things like that. But you'll start to see, work crews on roads and bridges within a few months. And it's going to be plain to see that this administration is actually performing well and doing what it said it was going to do during its campaign. Now, are there issues today? Of course, we fully expected COVID to be behind us to a large degree. It's not, but that's not because the administration is not trying to get it under control. They're consistently pushing forward the encouragement to get people vaccinated. You've seen a couple of executive orders come from President Biden around vaccine mandates, or the mandate of weekly testing in lieu of vaccination. So it's more of an opt-out of being tested every week if you go get a vaccination. Now, the Republicans on this other side of the fence are howling at the moon about this because they believe it's a removal of personal liberty and so on. So see Greg Abbott, Ron DeSantis, Kristi Noem up in South Dakota, all of these people taking the polar opposite perspective from what the administration is doing. But you also see their poll numbers tanking. Now, the president's underwater right now from a polling perspective, but Mr. Abbott and Mr. DeSantis, Ms. Noem, and other people that have been out there going after the battle that we have against COVID, you're seeing their poll numbers drop as well. So I think people are frustrated. And what they want to see are results. And so if these two big bills for the Biden agenda get passed, I think people are going to be able to see, hey, the government's actually working for me and doing something. I don't think they're going to. It's not too long ago that we were embroiled in the Trump administration, and not much was going on for the American people. And so I think that memory is still fresh. It's not too long ago we had an insurrection where there was an attempt to overthrow a popular election. I think those memories are still fresh. Now, if you add to that some positive benefits coming from the Democratic administration, I suspect we're going to be pretty pleased with what we see come 2022.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that we're looking really good in 2022 statewide. And, this is just an opinion. I have no data to back this up, but I feel like because Trump had the pull on the far right that he did, because he was such a populist candidate, that the turnout that we saw from the right in 2020, we should probably not expect a repeat of that. So I do believe that because Trump is not on the ticket, because they don't have a populist on the ticket, that their turnout numbers will probably be lower than ours. So.
Well, from your mouth to God's ears, Michelle, I think that's one of the things that we've got to think is a possibility. But I'm always one of those folks that runs as if I'm behind 10 points. And I think we need to keep that posture. It is vitally important, given the redistricting that's going on in the way the maps are going to come out. It's vitally important that we get every possible person that we can that's eligible to vote, get them registered and get them to the polls, because we're going to have to win this with turnout. I think there is a highly actualized group of people in the Republican right here in Texas. They're going to be spending millions and millions of dollars, just like they've done in the last couple of cycles, to message and scare people to the polls We have to do the opposite. We have to give them a reason to go vote for us. And again, if these big bills in Washington get passed, if we see some, I'll call celebrities that are worthy of our attention, such as Beto O'Rourke declaring for governor, that's going to be a very popular move for the Democratic side of the House. But nothing beats getting out, burning up some shoe leather, walking and talking, and getting voters activated, and particularly that young demographic, the 18 to 35 demo. That can carry the day for us. And with the administration's perspective around things like helping people get rid of some student debt, helping folks deal with some childcare issues, helping folks get this existential threat of climate change a little bit more managed, I think that plays well with the young demographic, and I think they'll be more positive in terms of being willing to come out and vote and support folks up and down the ballot.
Okay, so Dennis Sherrard, District 92, then District 94.
Yeah,
maybe that'll stick. Where can you keep up with you and your campaign, and what district it ultimately falls into?
Okay, so I got ahead of my skis when I announced back in July before the maps kind of came out, right? So I have all this literature and signs with Dennis Sherrard for House District 92. I'm not changing anything quite yet. I want to make sure all the dust settles before I go through all that again. So to get in touch with me, you can go to my website at www.dennisfortx92.com. So I'm technically still running in District 92 until such time that they officially tell me that I'm drawn out of the district. My Facebook site is the same thing, at Dennis4TX92. Email is dennis4FORTX92@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. So reach out, ask me a question, hopefully come online and see what I'm talking about. I've got a big issues page on my website that you can go through and see where I stand on the important issues of the day. So that's how you get in touch with me, Michelle.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm so happy to talk to you again, and we'll have to speak maybe once we know finally what district everybody's going to be at.
Absolutely. It's going to be very interesting in the next couple of months. There's going to be a lot of news coming out. So just pay attention to what we see and keep up the good work, Michelle. Really enjoy seeing you on Twitter and seeing your blog posts and all that kind of stuff. So folks, you get a chance, tune into this young woman. She's very smart and bright and has got a very keen eye about what's going on in Texas. Thanks very much.
All right. You have a good day, Dennis.